Thanks for joining us. Now, Eastern Regional Minister and Chairman of the Regional Security Council, Honorable Eric Kwache, therefore has revealed that some mining communities in the region are bribing members of the Operation Vanguard team. He said the phenomenon is making the fight against illegal mining very difficult. Responding to a question on the ban on small-scale mining and government initiative to create jobs through the 2018 budget as the launch of the citizens' budget here held at Inyinam, the minister expressed worry over the undue influence on the men in uniform. According to him, some youth in the mining communities corner the Operation Vanguard team members and bribe them. He was, however, quick to add that the team are working hard and making some strides. He said a number of arrests have been made and some culprits have been convicted.
Vanguard for no, emrantie na wo pom ha etu no, no do wa ko she tokrom ni abrade wo. So it doesn't work. Na oman no ni etutu da sre ene abasa. Na wo wonni mu time antusaso no ebeba so. Wonni mu time ebeba so. Enti mesra mo bebre. Eye ni bresam pa. Eye ni bresam. Na Vanguard for no o ma yadwuma. Omachiri nipa bebre ende bebre egum ya dibi no asem e de omatom na no krache ba ko omoje no 600 million onibi e de na kotum machines aya sizi nyina mo bi nye na dwen ese ye be release machine na mo ye release ma omo da enti mesra mo e ye nibre sam a metem biara e be boso no sabe na adani su emrantie no en famu ko si ba bia nipa kakra bi no a won mo afamu no mumu no a mumu no omo yusu mo no omo yusu mo a omo agisika no de kwa brochire mumu fa ye ntu ye hofo Vanguard for no emrantie na wo pomu ha etu no no do wa ko she tokrom ni abrade wo. So it doesn't work. Na oman no ni etutu da sre ene abasa. Na wo wonni mu time antusaso no ebeba so wonni mu time ebeba so enti mesra mo bebre eye ni bresam pa eye ni bresam na Vanguard for no oma yadwuma oma chiri nipa no bebre ende bebre egum ya dibi no asem e de oma tom na no krache ba ko omoje no 600 million onibi e de na kotum machines aya sizi nyina mo bi nye na dwen ese ye be release machine na mo ye release ma omo da enti mesra mo eye nibre sam a metem biara e be boso no sabe na adani su emrantie no en fam ko si ba bia nipa kakra bi no a won mo afam no mumu no a mumu no omo yusu mo no omo yusu mo a omo agisika no de kwa brochire mumu.
Now, moving on, 8 of the 9 students of Boko Senior High Technical School in the Upper East region who were admitted on suspected meningitis have tested negative for the disease. Their colleague died yesterday in the latest outbreak of disease in a senior high school. Students from Timpani Senior High School in that area is also on admission. This week, Boko, Damongo, Koforidua and Kumasi Academy have all seen students pass away as a result of the meningitis outbreak. We'll be bringing you more on this issue after this. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the High Command of the Anti-Galamsey Task Force, Operation Vanguard, says its checks in the Etiwa forest are yet to establish any illegal mining as suggested by media reports. Some media outlets reported on Tuesday that illegal miners have besieged the forest, destroying water bodies there. But a commander of the Anti-Illegal Mining Task Force, Colonel William Ejapong, says its checks in the forest are yet to establish any such breach on the ban against mining in the country. Here's his interview with Erastus Asaridonko.
It's been a year and some days since Operation Vanguard was mandated to sort of wage war against illegal mining in our country. Now I have with me here Colonel Ejapon, who has been at the forefront of this fight. Today we're going to have an interview trying to assess the performances, what has been done, and what needs to be done going into the future. You're welcome to join us.
Thank you very much, Erastus.
Now, let's start with the statistics. What have we been able to do on paper?
Thank you again, and then I like the way you started that. The operation started about a year ago. Indeed, the planning at the strategic level and operational levels started way back, but on the ground, operational-wise, tactical-wise, we came into the theater at the end of July. And so we've been roughly in the theater about, let's say, 5 months. And I think that on paper, it looks very good. We have been able to effect as many as 699 arrests in Eastern region, Ashanti region, and Western region. In terms of the equipment that the illegal miners and some small-scale miners were using, we've been able to immobilize as many as getting to 3,000 shamfans. I'm talking about the portable waterborne machines that are used to destroy the water bodies. We've been able to also seize or immobilize over 69 excavators. But for me, the interesting thing is that the small-scale miners themselves came on board, and then during the period, we have monitored not less than 900 excavators that have been voluntarily moved from the various mining sites to the urban areas. And you can imagine what 900 excavators on our soil could have done to the country for all these 5 months. So in terms of statistics, this is where we stand. It's looking good, and I hope that by the time we get to the end, we will have something more better than what we have after this 4.5 months period. From where I sit, and from the operations we have been conducting so far, I can say emphatically that no Operation Vanguard personnel has stooped so low to be compromised, as is being said. You recall that people have been hiding behind the banner, behind the brand name Vanguard. In fact, some news items that came up recently in Western region and Eastern region was clear to the fact that people hide under the name of Vanguard, and they sort of do whatever they want. Erastus, nothing comes up clearly. It's been a very challenging job right from the beginning up to here. When you have to go to the field and you are in the field, sometimes there's no communication, and you don't even know where the next group of your personnel are. It's been very challenging, but what I have come to see and know is that the Ghanaian soldier and the Ghanaian policeman can be trusted. Once they know the kind of mission they're undertaking, once they trust and they believe in the cause, and they trust the leadership and the operation itself, they will give of their best. I think that that's been a very challenging moment for me, having the opportunity to have the military and the police work in a concerted effort to achieve a very good aim for this country. I think that has been a very challenging moment, and at this point in time, the military and the police hierarchy think that it's time to have a changeover of the leadership, and so nothing is going to change. It's Vanguard. It is not about an individual. It is Operation Vanguard. And so as long as we are concerned, Operation Vanguard is continuing. So maybe by next week or two, I'll leave the scene and somebody else will take over, and he will continue the very good work that the military and the police have been doing all this time.
We take you back to that story having to do with the outbreak of meningitis, because 8 of the 9 students of Boko Senior High Technical School in the Upper East region who were admitted on suspected meningitis have tested negative for the disease. Their colleague died yesterday in the latest outbreak of the disease in a senior high school. Students from Timpani Senior High School in the area is also on admission and in critical condition. This week, Boko, Damongo and Koforidua Technical Senior High Schools and 4 from Kumasi Academy have recorded deaths linked to either the H1N1 swine flu or meningitis. Dr. Clement Opong of the Presbyterian Hospital in Boko, who has been treating the affected students in the area, says the situation has improved considerably.
Our focus is on the meningitis because you know the kids who died had confirmed meningitis, and once we did the proof with other students, they said the same. They have common risk. So our focus is on the meningitis, and once we rule out meningitis, then we can test for other things. But now we are focusing on making sure that these patients don't have meningitis, which is an epidemic we all don't want to get to. They are under observation, actually. The only one that is under treatment is the one from the Timpani Senior High School, who is still in a critical condition. But the rest are under observation. No, we are checking their vitals, looking out for signs and symptoms of meningitis. As I said, there was a student from the school who died from meningitis, and once they are there, they have common risk, as I said. So it is possible that they have it, but it evolves with time. So we have to keep an eye on them to make sure that they don't get to meningitis. Meningitis is not a death sentence. Once you get meningitis and report early, meningitis can be treated. What causes most meningitis deaths is that they report a little too late, or when they come to hospital, we don't pick it early. So once these students have come and they are showing signs, we have to make sure that if there is meningitis, we have to pick it up and then manage it as soon as possible. That's what we are doing.
Now, authorities in both schools are now on high alert. Here's Upper East Regional Correspondent Albert Sori.
Last night, the school authorities gathered the students in a bid to counsel them and to advise them on what they could do as far as signs and symptoms and all that are concerned, so that if you are not feeling well or if you feel that you are having some signs that show that you could be sick, you report early and then you'll be taken to the hospital. Now, at the moment, the students are writing their end of term exam, so the education authorities are also cautious to make sure that this issue doesn't escalate and cause panic, such that the students may not be able to write their exam before they go home. In the Boko Senior Technical School, where a student has died, we understand that a lot of the students, especially those of them who are close to this particular student who lost his life, were traumatized, so to speak. And that was why the school authorities called the students and tried to speak to them and to calm them down and to assure them that everything will be brought under control.
Now, Executive Director for the Institute of Educational Studies, IFS, Peter Enti, believes these issues must be dealt with immediately. Here's how. Well, we'll hear from Peter Enti in subsequent bulletins. But moving on, residents of Akania, a farming community in the Kasina-Nankana West District of the Upper East region, are having to drink from unsafe water from dugout pits. This is because their main source of what is a stream close to the community has dried up due to poor rainfall. 2 boreholes in the community, which serve as an alternative to the stream, have also been sealed due to high content of fluoride in the water. The residents are at a risk of contracting waterborne diseases as a result. Upper East correspondent Albert Sori reports.
Squatting inside a dugout about 4 feet deep, this woman uses a calabash to scoop out brownish water that has settled at the bottom of the pit into a rusty metal bucket. She raises one calabash of the water towards my camera and bitterly laments. Just look at this water. Even if you wash your clothes with this water, they won't be clean. Yet, this is water we human beings at Akania are drinking, she says. A little over 1,000 people live in this community in the Kasina-Nankana West District of the Upper East region. Access to clean drinking water here is non-existent. Even to get water from the dugouts is no walk in the park. The women sometimes have to fight among themselves over this brown and safe water. A small stream somewhere in the outskirts of the community used to provide water for about half of the dry season, which normally lasts between October and April. However, there were not enough rains in the just ended rainy season, and so the stream has already dried up.
When I don't get the water, I'll go far, the 15 kilometers, and get the water. The road is no good for us, and the robbers in there, and the rapist is there. I want to beg the government to help us.
The education of children here at Akania is adversely being affected by the lack of access to water in the community.
In this dry season, we don't get water so that we bath and so that we go to school. We don't even wash our clothes. If I want to wash, I wash on Sunday. Say, unless next week, Friday, so that I'll get water so that I'll bath and I'll wash my clothes.
2 boreholes which were drilled for the community in 2012 have been sealed due to high fluoride content in the water, which made it unsafe for consumption. WaterAid Ghana has been working here at Akania for 2 years now, but their efforts to help provide the community with clean drinking water have not yet been successful due to the high fluoride deposits in the area. Dr. Chaka Uzondu is policy manager at WaterAid.
We are trying to reach everyone, everywhere, with access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene. In Akania, there are around 430 people. There are 4 neighboring communities, and the total population is around 1,045. Every single one of those persons has a right to safe water and sanitation. Now, we have a big challenge of fluoride, and I think we need leadership at the very highest level to engage this challenge. Now, we know assemblies have limited resources to tackle this, so what with WaterAid are posing is that there need to be perhaps greater allocation of resources to assemblies with peculiar challenges such as Bongo and Kasana West, where we're seeing and we know there exists very high levels of fluoride in the water. That's one. Now, this also raises a larger issue about how resources to metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies are allocated. We need to see greater allocation of resources to the districts that have the least resources available to bring about transformational change for the people in those areas.
Government's intervention is seriously required here at Akania. Until then, members of this community will remain thirsty and at risk of outbreak of diseases for a very long time. Reporting for Joy News, Albert Sori, Akania, Upper East Region.
Now, Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan has observed that as the cost of insanitary conditions coupled with the cost of medical bills and low productivity outputs stemming from malaria and typhoid fevers remain immeasurable. He's, however, optimistic with the introduction of the social norms campaign aimed at creating awareness on the need for attitudinal change will help deal with insanitary conditions across the country. Alhaji Suleimana made the observation at the launch of the social norms campaign in Wa. Joy News' Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Upper West region is the 4th region in the country to launch the social norm campaign, the Open Defecation Free Ghana campaign. It is aimed at creating awareness on dangers associated with open defecation and its effects on the collective well-being of the citizenry. Participants at the launch were drawn from chiefs and traditional rulers, municipal and district chief executives, heads of departments, security agencies, opinion leaders, and the media. Upper West Region's Environmental Health Officer, Henry Baga, noted that the fight against open defecation in the region started 7 years ago as a pilot project in 20 communities and in 5 districts. Several dozens of communities also joined the wagon with the implementation of the community-led total sanitation.
414, representing 35% of the 1,167 communities in the region, have been declared ODF. This translates the reduction in open defecation from 71.9% in 2010 to 49.2% in 2014, a margin of 22.7%, which has significantly contributed to the recent ranking, placing Upper West as first in CDD UNICEF District League table. Kudos to all watch stakeholders in the region.
Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Officer Ima Juan Ham, in a speech read on behalf of the United Nations Children Fund, UNICEF, appealed to the Upper West Regional Coordinating Council to put in place necessary strategies and commit resources to achieve the targets set to eliminate open defecation.
With the launch of the campaign complementing the ongoing behavior change activities in the region, I believe the region is on its way to making a turnaround in the sanitation statistics again, as all the districts have pledged to achieve their open defecation-free targets. We, as UNICEF, support the endeavors of the government to ensure that no one is left behind in the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, not just in Ghana, but around the world.
Upper West Regional Minister Alhaji Suleiman Al-Hassan posited that the cost of insanitary conditions coupled with the cost of medical bills and low output during malaria and typhoid fever remains immeasurable.
With the introduction of the social norms theory into the CLTS, it will help sustain the results of the commitments that we have made towards declaring ODF from slipping back into open defecation practices. It should as well prompt OD communities to inculcate such acceptable behaviors that will encourage them to adopt the CLTS approach in dealing with insanitary conditions in our communities.
A study conducted in the region on open defecation-free communities by UNICEF put the Nandom district on top of all 11 MDAs in the region, with the one municipality placed at the bottom of the log. Municipal Chief Executive for WA, Isaac Otair Momen, has doubts over the method used for the study.
The research that is conducted, actually, I don't know, the factors that are considered in coming up, with those percentages. But looking at it, I don't think it is good for the municipality. We're going to make sure that the permitting process and the procedures are enforced. So anybody that comes to build without permit, I think we'll have to take you on. And before your permit is approved, you should have a place of convenience or toilet in that house. And those that have already built without toilets, currently now I'm just going to enforce the law. We are going to call landlords and to make sure that we sit with them, let them understand and see the need of providing toilet facility for their tenants. And even we're also going to roll out an education to all tenants. If you're going to rent a house or to rent a room where there is no toilet, you don't have to accept it.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
So watching Joy News today, my name is Daniel Daz. The stories we've done so far, Eastern Regional Minister Eric Kwache therefore alleges that Operation Vanguard members are taking bribes from illegal miners. However, the commander of the Anti-Galamsey Task Force, Colonel William Japan, says his men will not stoop that low. Now, still to come, parents for the next 2 weeks will be busy trying to get some presents for their children. We'll tell you about a new toy in town. Thanks for staying with us. Now, Information Minister Mustafa Hamid has implored the office of former President John Dramani Mahama to be patient with government as it goes through the processes to settle him in his official accommodation. Speaking to host of the Joy FM Super Morning Show, Kojo Yankson, this morning, Mr. Hamid indicated that government will not deliberately delay in accommodating the former president. Rather, it is the processes involved which are causing the undesired delay.
Provided with that accommodation, or does he have to write?
No. That one, it's if you want, it's guaranteed by what prevails now is the Professor Eduboando.
That's right.
Report. So what it is that, you know, in the case of former President Kufuor, for example, his accommodation has not been provided to. But the former government, after 2011, like I said, began to pay him rent, okay, in respect of him finding his own accommodation. He was shown a piece of land in 2013, I understand around the Ridge area, and the promise was made to him that that is the site on which an accommodation or a house would be built for him as his retirement home. That has not been done yet. In any case, the onus now falls on us as a new government to now take care of that one, and also President Mahama. So I can assure them that we will take care of both, you know, and ensure that the right things are done. But the fact that they lived in government...
Are you having to prioritize one over the other?
Quite frankly, if I was the officer in charge, I would expedite action and deal with President Kufuor first, and then come to President Mahama. You know, it is the reason I'm saying they were in government for 8 years, you know, because of the difficulties. I understand them, as I said. You know, they couldn't quite settle President Kufuor before they've let off. Now we have to contend with two presidents. So we are pleading with them, you know, even more so, to understand that the difficulties that they encountered in dealing with just one president, they can imagine that we are having to deal with double that type of problem. So we are pleading with Joyce Bawa Mukhtari that go easy, and then inshallah we shall deal with it.
All right, let's talk about...
Now, moving on, parents for the next 2 weeks will be busy trying to get a present or two for their children. Toy guns and water pistols, dolls and race cars, among other fancy items, will be high on the shopping list. But have you heard of the Christmas egg? Love FM's Kwesi Deborah takes us to the market to experience the new craze in town.
Rubber duck, you're the one.
Rubber duck is a symbol of happiness and childhood memories. It gives comfort to people across age, nationality, and race. The baby duck sound has since time immemorial been incorporated into many toys. Now, it has found its way again into the market space, this time round in an egg. According to a casual observer, these are two natural eggs. The one on my left wouldn't like it if I squeeze it that hard. But the one on my right wouldn't mind, because this is Christmas egg! It's everywhere on the market. For 1 Ghana cedi per egg, a shopper takes home, as traders are making considerable sales.
In a day, you can sell 1 or 2 packets.
On a shopping spree, Pukia was hooked when she first spotted the Christmas egg. She decided to try it on her 6-month-old daughter. Angela would only stop crying if only she hears the sound of the Christmas egg.
She's happy when I play it. She would stop crying immediately.
is not only soothing to the ears of children. Another parent, Kwesi Poku, has bought two, one for keeps and the other for his children at home. You'd think it's egg, but it's not. It's all fun. When you send the pack to the house, the children will love it. I'm happy when I hear the sound.
Let me remind the parents who will be going to the market to buy the biscuits, the toffees for their kids. Don't forget to buy the Christmas egg because they think it's tastier and more delicious. Reporting for Joy News.
Well, I'll definitely look for a Christmas egg next time I'm in town.